What's up, Malone University? I'm Brooks Andersson alongside Antonio Turner. We're in for Chase and Seth this week, talking a little Major League Baseball. The start of the season is underway, and we've got some surprising headlines, and we've got two big baseball fans here to tell you all about them. So first, we're going to start with some of the most surprising parts of the standings so far. We've got some tight races so far, and we've got some surprising teams. We've got some disappointing teams so far as well. So let's start off with the American League East and the New York Yankees. They've gotten off to a great start. Pretty surprising considering they've only got one guy on their starting roster that's under the age of 30 years old. So what's your take on the Yankees, AT?
Yeah, I mean, they're a team that's, they're old, but they never seem to slow down. They're always a team that finds a way to get runs. I mean, Alex Rodriguez, he's done great so far this year after sitting out, the entire season last year. And Mark Teixeira, he's been steady over there at first base. Michael Pineda, I mean, who would have guessed in that trade with the Seattle Mariners with Jesus Montero? I mean, the Yankees clearly got the better of that deal, but the Yankees, they just have been a team that's just, they've pitched very well, they've hit the ball very, very well, and I think they have a really good chance to contend if they can keep up this pace and maybe make a few moves at the trade deadline.
I totally agree. The Yankees have really looked good at the start. They've got Tanaka has pitched well coming off that injury, and they've got some. They've really realized with Didi Gregorius coming in to fill in those spots for Derek Jeter, he's not going to take the fill in the footsteps or fill in the shoes necessarily right away, but he's done a great job so far. Another surprising team. We don't have to look any further than the same exact city right across town. We look at the New York Mets, and they've kind of surprised everybody with their pitching staff, with Bartolo Colon and Matt Harvey. They've really surprised a lot of people. So what's your take on the Mets?
Yeah, I mean, if they keep doing what they're doing, we may see another Subway Series for the World Series. I mean, both these teams have pitched very well. They've hit the ball very well. I'm very surprised with Matt Harvey and how he's returned from his Tommy John surgery. That's a really, really tough surgery to come back from. And Bartolo Colon, I mean, that pickoff play, I mean, you never seen a big guy move like that so well. I mean, that's awesome to see. And they're a team that's doesn't have like a lot of big name guys on their team, but they got a lot of guys, small guys who can contribute and make a really, really good team.
Absolutely. Another team that's shocked everybody, including, I know AT's surprised, I know I'm surprised, thinking these were going to be the cellar dwellers of the AL West, but we look no further than the Houston Astros leading the American League West right now. That's your division, so I'll let you take that one. What do you think about the Astros?
This one is really tough for me. Because they go against my beloved Mariners. But that's all right, though. They've actually hit the ball extremely well. I mean, they got George Springer out there in right field, the young, hot prospect. He's done a great job. And bringing in Colby Rasmus from the Toronto Blue Jays was a great move for them. He's hit the ball, and he's shown a lot of leadership capabilities. And I know he had some off-the-field issues with Toronto. But those problems seem to have gone away, and he's done a really, really nice job. And they've pitched the ball, they've pitched very well. So they're a team that can compete. We'll have to see. They'll have to make some moves at the trade deadline. I don't know if they can hold it off the entire season, but as of right now, they've off to a hot start, and they're looking good.
Absolutely. Another team that's been really good so far, they've made a lot of great moves in the offseason to try to piece this team together, is the San Diego Padres. They're looking to be a team to contend with the Dodgers, to contend with the Giants, who are looking to have a down year this year. And the Padres, with Matt Kemp and the power that they've got, they've added some good pitching on that team. They look like a solid contender in the National League West. What's your take on the Padres?
Yeah, I mean, that's arguably one of the best outfields in all of baseball when you got Justin Upton in right field and Will Myers in center, and you got Matt Kemp in left. When you got Matt Kemp in left field, you know you're going to be doing something special. And they made the move to get James Shields last year. He's their ace, and they got Tyson Ross in their number 2. And when your number 5 is Brandon Morrow, I mean, that's pretty good rotation. So, I mean, they got the pitching, they've got the power. Maybe add a few pieces up the middle. I'm not sure how their shortstop, second baseman, I think they need a little work up there. But, I mean, solid outfield, great pitching, good bullpen. They look like a really solid team, and they can contend.
And they also look like if there's going to be any season for them to really make a run, this is going to be the season for that division, because with the Giants looking down, the Diamondbacks, you never know what you're going to get with them. The Rockies are kind of hit and miss. The only real contender they have at the moment is the Los Angeles Dodgers, and even they sometimes show spotty signs. So they look really good. And So moving on, we went to the surprising. Let's go to the disappointing. We've got some teams that have gotten off to some tough starts. I know AT's not happy about this one, but we're going to start with your Seattle Mariners. They loaded up in the offseason. They got some great players. They clearly, in my opinion, won the offseason. If there's a winner of the offseason, it would go to Seattle. They've started off really slow, however. They've gotten some power from Nelson Cruz, who you took from my beloved Orioles, but I digress. Gotten some great power from him. Cano's looked good, but that pitching over there has been kind of the killer. Can you talk a little bit about your Mariners?
Yeah, the pitching has been our weak spot, and it's not just the starting pitching. It's the bullpen. It's everyone from well, Felix Hernandez has been our only bright spot, but Taijuan Walker hasn't pitched well. James Paxton hasn't pitched well. And now Hisashi Iwakuma, he's on the DL now, and he hasn't pitched well.
Right.
So now we're having to go. We called up Roenis Elias, and he threw well, but we lost because our bullpen couldn't hold on to it. And when we do pitch well, it's we can't get timely hits. So I mean, we went 0 for 12 with runners in scoring position, and if you want to be competed for a World Series, you just can't do those things. So I mean, they added Seth Smith in the offseason, and they traded for Justin Ruggiano, and they made good moves, and they added Ricky Weeks. They made really solid moves, but the pitching, what was supposed to be their forefront, was supposed to be their bread and butter, just hasn't been it yet.
Right.
And if they want to recover, they really need to solidify that pitching rotation.
It looks like when we're looking at the other teams as well that have kind of gotten off to a slow start, pitching is the key. That's the common theme, the common denominator with all of them. We look at the Giants. They obviously lost a big bat when they lost Pablo Sandoval to the Red Sox in the offseason, but their pitching hasn't really been up to par either. And then the third most disappointing team we have on here is the Washington Nationals, and they have hands down the best pitching rotation in baseball. There's no question for that. But they've gotten off to a slow start. They only have 7 wins right now, and their pitching is responsible for that as well. So they're looking to, obviously early in the season they can turn things around, get on a hot streak or whatnot, but they're off to a slow start as well.
Yeah, and I think the Nationals can definitely turn it around. They're a team, like you said, the best pitching rotation in all of baseball, and they've got the guys in place to do it. They got Bryce Harper out in left field. They got Ian Desmond at short. Jordan Zimmerman, a great pitcher. Right. They got the team. They've got the team. They just need to put it together, and I think they will as the season progresses. They got a lot of great players. They got a really solid outfield with Denard Span out in center and Bryce Harper. I mean, those guys. I mean, Wilson Ramos behind the dish. They got a really solid team, and they'll put it together. They're just struggling to have really good team chemistry right now, and they just don't have that.
Yeah. And we're looking at some individual performances. On the impressive side, I think we look no further than the Mets pitching staff. And we look at Matt Harvey, and then we mentioned Bartolo Colon doing what he's doing at the age of, upper 30s at least.
60s.
He's up there. He's close to retirement age, been around lots of teams. He's showing he can do something with the bat now, too, which is something that we haven't seen. Getting his first RBI since 2005, I believe. But he's been impressive. We looked at A-Rod. He's 1 home run away from tying Willie Mays' mark right now, and one home run also away from the controversial bonuses that the Yankees are going to have to give up for that. And then we look at Adrian Gonzalez over with the Dodgers as well. He got off to a really hot start, had like 5 home runs in the first series or whatever. He's looking to continue that and be right up there with some of the top home run hitters in the league, which can propel the Dodgers to where they need to be as well.
When Adrian Gonzalez get hot, I mean, the Dodgers, they could do anything. He's what makes that team go. I mean, they added Jimmy Rollins and they added Howie Kendrick, but Adrian Gonzalez is really the guy that makes that team go. He's the guy. I mean, you saw early, he had the 3 home runs in one game. When he's on, everything else just seems to click and everything else flows better. I mean, you got Clayton Kershaw. You know he's going to be solid. They got a solid bullpen. But when you can get that left-handed bat of Adrian Gonzalez at first base, when we can get him going, that's when that team looks really, really solid.
Absolutely. We're looking at some of the disappointing individual performances. We mentioned the Mariners as a team, but the pitching, one starter that's been really disappointing in general for them has been Taijuan Walker. I know you were talking him up during spring training, saying he's having a great spring, looking to go have a career year, and he has an ERA way up in the clouds right now. So. Can you talk a little bit about Taijuan Walker?
Yeah, Taijuan Walker, I mean, he was phenomenal in spring training. He was, rated the number 6 prospect in all of baseball a few years ago. And, he threw 19 innings without giving up a run and had 20-something strikeouts and was looking to be the next Felix Hernandez. But now that the season started, he just hasn't gotten off to the start everyone had hoped for. He's got his ERAs around 10, and, he hasn't won a game yet. And even when the one time he did pitch well, the bullpen blew it and this, that, and the other. But he just hasn't been sharp. Right. His fastball velocity is a little bit down. His curveball's not breaking. He's leaving his changeup up in the zone. And when you're doing those things, you're never going to get anyone out. Those are bad things when you're leaving your off-speed pitches up in the zone. I mean, hitters, they love those slow pitches up, and they just take them out. And that's what they've done to him. They've taken advantage. So.
Next guy, actually the last two guys on our list come from the American League East. The next one, I hate to talk about this because I love this team and I love this player in particular, but Chris Tillman is on this list, the quote-unquote ace of the Baltimore Orioles with a 7.58 ERA right now. Surprisingly, he's 2-2, mainly because of the run support he's been getting from his lineup. Yeah. The Orioles lead the league in runs scored, but they also lead the league in runs allowed, so that's never going to be. It's going to balance out and not work out.
It is really surprising that the Orioles have done what they've done. Right. Losing the guys that they've lost, Nelson Cruz and Nick Markakis, and they've still been able to hold on, and they still haven't got Matt Wieters back, but Adam Jones or J.J. Hardy, and they've had, they filled in nicely with Everest Cabrera. He's done a pretty nice job, but Adam Jones has really carried that team, wouldn't you say there, Brooks?
Oh, absolutely, and I have to thank the Seattle Mariners for that as well. I couldn't go without bringing that up, but the last guy on this list is John Lester of the Boston Red Sox, of the Chicago Cubs now. He's throwing me off with all the teams that he's been switching around to, but 3 teams in 2 years. But John Lester with the Cubs now. He started off rough the first 2 starts. Obviously, league change, you could say. This is the first time him pitching in the National League, but shouldn't mean much of a difference. No. Not showing the kind of stuff he did when he was in Boston.
Yeah, theoretically, you would expect him to pitch a lot better than he has. I mean, he's in the National League. He doesn't have to deal with the American League DHs anymore. Right. So theoretically, that's one less hitter he has to face. So he should pitch better.
Right.
But we've, time and time again, we're seeing the velocity down. We're seeing him leaving his breaking balls up. Right. We're seeing him leaving his changeups up in the zone. His sliders not. It's not as sharp as it used to be like he was in Oakland and Boston, and he struggled so far. And if that team wants to go far, they're going to need John Lester. John Lester is one of the best pitchers in baseball, one of the best left-handed pitchers especially. Right. And that team needs him if they want to go far. Right.
So before we wrap this thing up, we're going to pick a dark horse. Pick a team that you think is about to go on a run, about to surprise some people. We're getting into the stretch here the next couple of months. Where we're going to hit the All-Star break, and we're going to be right in the thick of things, where right now it seems like it's really early and games could matter, and sometimes not as much as they do late in the season. But right now we're about to hit a part of the season where the team gets hot, and they could make their season or break their season. So if you had to pick a team right now that you think is about to go on a run here, who would you look out for?
Yeah, my pick is the Washington Nationals. Okay. I mean, I've said it time and time again. That's the best pitching rotation in all of baseball, and pitching is what wins you championships. Right. If you can't pitch and you're giving up tons of runs, and you're not going to beat anyone. Right. But if you can shut teams down, you can always manufacture runs, and that's a team that can shut you down. And so if they can shut you down, they've got the weapons, to score. So they're definitely going to get hot as soon as they figure out they've got some mishaps. As soon as they figure those little things out, they're going to catch hot.
And if I had to pick one. This might surprise a couple people. Obviously, this team hasn't been relevant in a long, long time, but I'm going to go with the Chicago Cubs. I think if they're going to be relevant, this is the year. They finally brought Chris Bryant up. Chris Bryant's been showing what he can do. They've got the guys around him. If Lester can get his act together and the rotation around him, they've got a decent bullpen to hold them. I think the Cubs really have a shot at making a run in this National League Central race. The Cardinals are obviously at the top. The Pirates are in the mix, but the Cubs could definitely make things interesting here. And this is the time to do it for them. I mean, they haven't been to the playoffs in a while, and obviously the World Series drought that they've had. But I think the Chicago Cubs could definitely turn some heads here. So.
Yeah, I mean, they got Starlin Castro at short and Chris Bryant now at third. And when you add, Dexter Fowler out there in center and John Lester, if he can turn it around, that's a team that's capable of doing some great things. They just got to figure it out. So I definitely agree with that pick.
Well, we absolutely enjoyed doing this for you guys. We've wanted to do this for a while, putting our picks together and just talking baseball. So for AT Turner, I'm Brooks Anderson. This has been Inside the Competition, signing off.